Okay, what if you could just cut through all the noise, through decades of financial research to find the few ideas that actually work? The hunt for that secret edge in the stock market has led to this flood of potential strategies. Well, today we're going to break down a really cool method that does just that. It brings some serious discipline to all that chaos and helps us find the real signals. I want you to imagine a library. It's filled with hundreds and hundreds of books, and every single one claims to hold the secret to beating the market. That's pretty much what financial researchers have built over the years. It's this dizzying collection of what they call factors. And that could be anything, right? From a company's debt level to its stock price momentum, all of them promising to predict the future. So here's the big question. If you're an investor, or heck, even if you're just trying to make sense of it all, how do you know what to believe? I mean, with hundreds of these things all screaming for your attention, how in the world do you separate a real, genuine breakthrough from, just a lucky guess that happened to look good in a spreadsheet? Right, so this whole chaotic mess, it actually has a name, and it's a great one. They call it the Factor Zoo. And honestly, it's the perfect metaphor. Just picture this huge, wild jungle of data overflowing with creatures of all shapes and sizes. And you're stuck in the middle, trying to figure out which ones are the powerful lions and which ones are just, distracting little mice. And let's be really clear here. We're not talking about a few ideas. We are talking about hundreds of them. The sheer scale of this problem it's just massive. And our traditional tools, they just aren't built to handle something this big. And look, this isn't just some abstract academic problem. The researchers who wrote the paper we're looking at, they put it really bluntly. They said that bringing discipline to this factor zoo is one of the single biggest challenges facing the entire field of finance today. Basically, the whole field is crying out for a zookeeper. So from now on, whenever you hear us say factor zoo, just picture that. This chaotic, overwhelming world of financial predictors. It's a place where, honestly, anyone with a powerful enough computer can get totally lost just chasing shadows. Okay, so you're probably wondering, why can't we just use our normal statistical tools to clean up this mess, right? I mean, you'd think we'd have something for this by now. Well, it turns out that when you're dealing with a zoo this big, the old tools, they don't just bend, they completely break. Yeah, the core issue here is a classic case of just too much information. It's something statisticians call the curse of dimensionality. Basically, when you have hundreds of potential explanations for something, it becomes incredibly easy to get fooled by pure randomness. You start seeing patterns that aren't really there. They're just illusions. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, can't we just use some smart algorithm, some machine learning thing to pick the most important factors for us? And yeah, that's a great thought. There's a tool called Lasso that's designed to do pretty much exactly that. But here's the catch. Inside the factor zoo, Lasso it gets a little clumsy. It tries its best, but it often makes some pretty big mistakes. And those mistakes, they lead to this huge statistical trap called omitted variable bias. Okay, imagine this. You're trying to figure out what makes a car fast, but you completely forget to account for its weight. You might look at the data and wrongly conclude that, hey, it's only the big engines that matter. See? That's omitted variable bias. By leaving out one key piece of the puzzle, the entire picture of reality gets completely distorted. So if the old tools are broken and they can lead us completely down the wrong path, what's the answer? Is there a better way? Well, yes. The researchers behind this paper came up with this incredibly clever, really elegant new approach. It's called the double-selection method. Okay, now this is where it gets really, really cool. It's a two-step process. So first, it does exactly what you'd expect. It uses that lasso tool to go into the zoo and find the most promising factors. But then, it does something absolutely brilliant. It's kind of like a detective who, after they find their prime suspect, goes back to double-check the alibis of everyone else who was just hanging around the crime scene. This second step specifically looks for any other factors that might just be related to the one you're testing. And that second step, that is the secret sauce. It's like a built-in safety net, and it's explicitly designed to catch the exact mistakes that the traditional methods always make. It finds those tricky, confounding variables, remember the car's weight from our example, and it makes sure they get included in the final analysis. That's how it keeps us from getting fooled by a distorted result. All right, so this all sounds really clever in theory, but the big question is, does it actually work in practice? And the answer is yes. The results are seriously impressive. This method gives you stable, reliable conclusions. We're not talking about lucky guesses that just disappear the second you look at a different set of data. I mean, just look at the difference here. It is literally night and day. With the old, simple method, the results are just all over the place. They change wildly from one test to the next. But with double selection, you get a clear, consistent picture every single time. It's like the difference between filming with a shaky handheld camera and using a rock-solid tripod. And hey, the proof is right here in the pudding. This table shows what happens when you test some of the more recently discovered factors. Now, using the rigorous double selection method, things like profitability and quality show up as genuinely important. But look what happens with the old simple selection method. They look like complete duds. It's amazing, right? This is a perfect example of how just choosing the right tool can lead you to completely different and way more accurate conclusions. And if you need more convincing, this chart is just a stunning takedown of the old way of doing things. Researchers ran that simple lasso test 2,000 times on different samples of data. And what they found was, outside of two really common, well-known factors, the results were basically random. It's like throwing darts at a board while you're blindfolded and just hoping you hit the bullseye. It's not science. It's just guessing. So, okay, what does all this mean for the real world? It means we finally have a reliable, systematic tool to bring some much-needed order to all this chaos. We finally have a way to actually start taming the factor zoo. And after seeing all this, you've got to wonder, right? Of the hundreds and hundreds of factors that have been discovered over the years, how many are actually real? Well, if you apply this new, much higher standard, the answer is kind of shocking. It's a surprisingly small number, just 14. Yeah, you heard that right, 14. The researchers actually ran a historical simulation, and they found that if we had been using this double selection method all along, only 14 out of 99 major factors, we're talking factors published in top academic journals, would have passed the test. That means over 85% of them were probably just statistical noise. Imagine how much tidier the zoo would be. And look, this is a really big deal. It's more than just a new technique. It's a whole new way of thinking about financial research. It's about being way more disciplined, more rigorous, and frankly, more honest about what we actually know versus what we think we know. It gives everyone, researchers, investors, you name it, a tool to stop chasing statistical ghosts and to focus their time, their energy, and their money on what truly matters. And all of this leaves us with one huge final question. We live in a world that is absolutely drowning in data, right? In everything from medicine to marketing. So you have to ask, how many other zoos are out there? How many other fields are filled with noise and confusion, just waiting for the right tool to come along and team them? This isn't just about finance anymore. This is really about the future of discovery itself.